House impeachment managers are preparing their case ahead of Tuesday to someone who has been in their exact position. I'm talking, of course, about the Republican governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, who was a manager in the Clinton impeachment trial. He joins us right now. Governor, thank you for taking the time.
Great to be with you, Neil.
So lay this out for me on the witness thing, and you can clarify some things. Now, Republicans, we're not going into this headstrong with the idea that they would have witnesses, but pressure was building as little as a few days ago before we knew that Ken Starr was going to be joining the legal team for witnesses. But each side is going to argue for its own team. How does that work out?
Well, first of all, the president's legal team is highly steeped in constitutional law. And their first argument is going to be that this simply, even if you accept the facts, does not rise to an impeachable offense. They are really prepared for that. Two key motions ahead. One is a motion to dismiss, and the other one is a motion for witnesses. These two motions in the Clinton impeachment trial did not come about until after both sides presented their case in summary fashion, which took about 2 weeks. Then after that summary presentation, then, in that case, the Clinton impeachment trial, Senator Bob Byrd of West Virginia filed a motion to dismiss. It was defeated, and that gave momentum to having witnesses in the trial, even though it was limited. And so in this trial, I think that you'll see a very similar process where probably Senator McConnell will be able to keep his votes together in terms of following a regular process so that each side presents their case. The decision on whether to dismiss or go to witnesses will probably be a couple weeks away.
So now with the pressure, given his round of interviews this week, Arlette Parnes, this former operative in the Ukraine, a close confidant of Rudy Giuliani, for him to speak. And then there's the pressure getting John Bolton to speak, even though the president has talked about executive privilege. Republicans say, all right, those guys speak. We want to hear from Joe Biden and/or Hunter Biden. I could see the two canceling out and there being no witnesses.
Well, it is a very risky prospect for either side to start a new round of witnesses. And this is very unusual because in what the debate was 20 years ago as to whether witnesses who had previously given testimony in the independent counsel investigation or in the House, they would be called as live witnesses. And our case was that live witnesses really allows the Senate to better evaluate the credibility of their testimony. This is totally different this year because the House did not call many of the witnesses that they're now arguing ought to testify. And that is extraordinary, where you would have to go over to the Senate really to complete the investigation. That's risky, again, for both sides, and it would be very doubtful in my judgment as to whether that would be helpful to the Senate in reaching a decision.
You know, it's interesting, and when the shoe's on the other foot, people claim things that were the opposite of what they were saying back during when you were handling the Clinton impeachment process. Back then, Democrats are arguing, well, to make this quick because it's a foolish goal and this is all a waste of time. Republicans are kind of in the same position now. When you're handling something like that and what becomes a politicized affair that falls along, pretty much party lines, and that's certainly the case here. Stepping back, what's the fallout?
Well, the fallout in terms of our constitutional process is that we have to recognize this is a trial. It's not going to be the circus atmosphere it was in the House. It will be a lot more dignified and orderly because you have the Chief Justice presiding over it. And so I think you'll have the American public give the process more credibility in the Senate. I think they'll pay more closely attention to it. In terms of the witnesses, I think the first question is whether any of this arises to an impeachable offense. And the American public has been very clear, both in 20 years ago and currently, that there is a very high bar for impeachment. And the Senate has set that very high bar as well. In 20 years ago, they said you didn't reach the high bar. In this case, there's no indication the American public believes you ought to remove a president for the facts that has been demonstrated. But I think there's a lot to unfold still. And what we learned from history is that our democracy is strong and our constitutional process works when you follow it closely. And I have some confidence that the Senate is going to handle this in much more a better fashion than the House did, and that the American public will accept the outcome.
We shall see. Governor, thank you very much. Good having you.
Good to be with you, Neil.